We have all been there. You tell your friend or anybody that you know that you want to watch a movie, and before they take you up on that offer, they take out their phones to check the reviews. Maybe your friend has done this to you, or maybe you have been that person that needs to validate a film before giving it a watch. This interaction may seem mundane and insignificant to most of you, but hopefully by the end of this video, I can prove why checking reviews before watching a movie is a terrible way to experience film. I am a firm believer that the best way to watch movies is to go in knowing as little as possible. But why is watching a movie after seeing reviews so bad? To answer this question, I'm going to break the answer down into two reasons. Just before we go any further, I want to mention that I completely understand and sympathize with people who Google reviews before watching a movie because I used to be one of these people. We want to see if a movie is worth our time and money before we get our rear ends into the theater and buckle down for 2 or 3 hours. I understand that this is the main reason why most of us want to check the reviews so we can know that our effort of driving to the theater or even sitting on the couch at home wasn't for nothing. But at the same time, we have to realize that when we look at reviews, we are being told what to think of a movie before we even watch it. And this brings us to our first reason. Our brains are being programmed with a bias, and these preconceived notions can completely change the way we look at a film. There are so many movies that I've seen that I thought were great, only to find out that they had lackluster reviews. And conversely, there have been so many movies that I thought weren't that special, which turned out to have amazing reviews. If I looked at the reviews before watching these films, then maybe I would have never even bothered taking the time to watch some of the lower rated movies. And this is honestly a shame because there are so many amazing movies out there that have lower scores across the various reviewing platforms. The other serious issue with this is that we are being told what to think of a movie before even watching it. And when I watch films, I try to be as impartial as possible. When I watch a movie, I don't want to leave the film with takeaways that I have heard from other people. I want to leave the movie with my own thoughts and feelings. This aspect for me has become incredibly important recently as I make some of my own reviews from time to time on this channel, and every time before I watch a movie, I make sure to go in blind so that I can give my own honest and unbiased take on the film. Another very important thing that we have to consider is that most of the people who review films on any platform give their rating right after seeing the movie. You need time to digest a movie before giving it a score, and I'm a firm believer that most movies need to be watched at least twice before an accurate rating can be given. The reason why I say this is because the first watch for me is to experience the movie, whereas the second watch is to understand the movie. A huge test for me as for whether a movie is really up there in terms of greatness is if the movie is better on the second watch. There are so many movies out there that I realized were masterpieces on my second watch because I started to pick up on a lot more of what the film had to offer besides the plot, since my brain wasn't completely preoccupied with that aspect anymore. But when people review movies, 99% of the time, they've only seen the movie once, and they're giving what really just amounts to their initial impressions. So even if you want to look at the reviews, you have to take them with a grain of salt, because most reviewers don't fully digest the film or watch it twice to get a better understanding before giving their scores. The main thing I want to focus on for this point, before we move on to the next, is that reviews set us up with a bias. We are being told what to think of a movie before even watching it, and this subconscious bias can greatly impact how we take in a film. To mitigate this and to stop others' judgments from impeding our own, we have to stop looking at reviews before seeing a movie. The second and final point that I will make about reviews is going to be a bit more controversial, but allow me to explain. Reviews are indirect spoilers. What do I mean by this? You can gauge whether a movie is going to have a terrible ending or an incredible ending just based off the score. Let me give you a few examples to demonstrate this, and I won't give any direct spoilers for these films. Those of you who have seen my videos before know that one of my hot takes is that M. Night Shyamalan's 2002 movie, Signs, is actually a neglected masterpiece. If you like the horror genre, then this film is a must-see in my opinion, yet the rating doesn't reflect that. Signs has a pretty low score of a 6.8 on IMDb. Now, most of the people who watch Signs agree that the first 2/3 of this film are amazing, and nails that small town horror vibe that it goes for, while having a super unique scenario involving aliens on a farm. The movie also provides a great portrayal of a somewhat realistic alien invasion, and the directing and shot selection is superb. So if you were watching Signs and got past the first 80% of it, then you would think to yourself, where does it all go wrong? Why does this movie have such a bad score if it's been such an excellent horror film so far? Going off of this information, you could then infer that the movie would have a terrible ending, and so you would expect something stupid to happen. And this assumption would be correct, since the ending is the most controversial part of Signs by far. Let's also look at the reverse of this scenario. What if a movie has an amazing score, but it seems pretty average or mundane? To highlight this side of the spectrum, I'll use The Prestige. I won't spoil this movie for those of you who haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen this movie yet, you seriously need to watch it. I loved every single minute of The Prestige, but the vast majority of viewers will often remark that the first hour and 45 minutes of this film are incredibly slow. Yet the movie has a jaw-dropping 8.5 on IMDb. If you were watching The Prestige and you found the first 2 acts to be boring or uneventful, then you would automatically know that something crazy is going to happen to set up that monstrous 8.5 score. You would naturally start to expect the unexpected, and this could take away from how climactic the end of the movie is supposed to be, since you are already bracing yourself for something insanely clever or extraordinary to happen. As we all know, twist endings are the best when you least expect them, and the problem with reviews is that you can figure out whether the ending will make or break the film from just knowing the score alone. After you finish the first 2 acts, and you notice the movie hasn't really picked up yet, but the score is super high, then you know the ending will be amazing. If you finish the first 2 acts, and the movie is great so far, but has a terrible score, then you know the ending will suck. Hopefully these examples make some sense as to how reviews can be spoilers, and I hope you can see my point. To solve these issues, we have to go into movies without any preconceived notions, and that comes from going in blind. Now I know for most of you, this probably isn't that big of a deal, but for those of you who really like film and care about having your own original thoughts, then I would say to put the ratings down and to give each movie a fair and equal chance. To implement this blind strategy of not looking at reviews, I use a Chrome extension which hides the reviews of any movie that I Google. This way I can read up on a movie if I want to, without having to catch the score in my peripheral vision. I also try to watch movies early, usually within the opening weekend, so that I lower my chances of seeing other reviews that can kickstart a bias in my head. I know this might seem extreme to some of you, but keep in mind that I'm a YouTuber who specializes in movies and I make reviews of my own, and for the integrity of those reviews, I try my best to keep it strictly my own opinion. Obviously, I can't slap your hand every time you Google a review on a movie before watching it, but hopefully this video at least showed the benefits and the importance behind seeing a movie without a bias or any anticipation as to what events will happen. Even if you don't take my advice, I just hope you can see where I'm coming from. And just to clarify, I'm not saying to completely avoid reviews. The only point that I'm contending here is to not look at them before you watch a movie. If you want to see the reviews after you have digested a film and come to your own conclusions, then that's perfectly fair game in my mind. Speaking for myself though, in order to mitigate any bias or preconceived notions, I will continue to watch every movie blind. But there you have it, my take on looking at reviews before seeing a movie. That's all I have for this video, and please let me know whether you agree or disagree with me in the comments below. I try my best to make original videos on this channel, and these videos take a long time to make, especially since I'm a one-man band over here, so all of your support really means a lot. I know I haven't been super active recently, but I've had a lot on my plate with college and some other things, but I have some complete bangers lined up for the future, so please stay tuned for those. For those of you who watch my channel regularly, thank you so much for your patience, and hopefully I can be active again within a few weeks. But that's all I have for this video, and if you made it this far, thank you, I love you, and I genuinely hope that you have a great rest of your day.